The second longest work stoppage in Major League Baseball history may soon come to an end. MLB and the Players Association have reached a tentative agreement on a new labor deal, a source confirmed to Reuters on Thursday. The league locked out players last December after failing to reach terms on a collective bargaining agreement, freezing trades and free agent signings, as well as benefits to players. It had already canceled the first 2 weeks of the 2022 season, which was scheduled to begin on March 31st. The deal is still subject to ratification by both parties, according to the source. According to a report on MLB's website, the new 5-year labor pact is expected to include increased minimum salaries, a new pre-arbitration bonus pool to reward the top young players, and a raise in competitive balance tax thresholds. The report also said, pending ratification, that spring training camps will open on Sunday and a full 162-game season is expected to begin on April 7th. According to ESPN, the final vote from the executive subcommittee and 30 player representatives was 26-12 in favor of the new collective bargaining agreement. Players celebrated on social media, with 5-time All-Star Andrew McCutchen tweeting, "Welp, where am I signing?"
Vlada von Schatz is the co-owner of the Russian Samovar, a restaurant in Manhattan's Theater District serving a blini, chicken Kiev, and flights of infused vodkas. But she has found that a war an ocean away is now threatening her business. Some people, outraged over the Russian invasion of Ukraine, are taking their anger out on her Russian restaurant. But the family behind the business straddles both sides in the conflict and opposes the fighting.
My husband is Ukrainian. My children are half Ukrainian, half Russian. How do you explain that? Two brother nations at war. And we have family in Russia. I have relatives in St. Petersburg. My husband has relatives in Odessa, which is now preparing to be invaded.
Russia is a terror state!
Anti-Russian sentiment in the U.S. has meant that this eatery, established in 1986 by people who fled the Soviet Union, is now tarred by association.
From day one of the war, we have put the sign up, "We stand with Ukraine, no war," and we have a Ukrainian flag on our door. Well, apparently that didn't send the message clear enough to the people that are still blaming us for the war. Now we're called fascists and Nazis on the phone. We have hate emails where our sign was kicked in. The reservations, the worst part, business dropped about 60%.
The restaurant was already struggling following closures and gathering restrictions. Von Schatz says she and her business are against the invasion and support Ukrainian independence. And she said that as patrons learned the restaurant was being targeted, many decided to show their support.
I'm getting good emails. My Facebook is flooded with support messages, and we feel the love, but still the business is down, and still we worry about our people that are stuck in Ukraine, and still we worry and we have to nurture through our staff that was Ukrainian. We're doing everything possible, everything in our power to help.
Inflation in the U.S. surged again last month and will likely climb even further as Russia's war in Ukraine pushes up the price of crude oil and other commodities. Data out Thursday from the U.S. Department of Labor showed consumer prices in February saw their largest annual increase in 40 years, up almost 8% in the last 12 months. Inflation has far overshot the Federal Reserve's 2% target, and the U.S. Central Bank is expected to start raising interest rates next Wednesday to dampen the price surge. Russia's attack on Ukraine has sent oil prices surging and pushed average U.S. gasoline prices to a record high of over $4.30 per gallon, almost $1 more than a month ago. Rising prices were already ringing alarm bells before the Russia-Ukraine war. That's due to a massive global shift in spending on goods and away from services during the COVID-19 pandemic. Trillions of dollars in pandemic relief fired up demand, which ran up against short supply as the coronavirus shuttered factories and upended supply chains. Rising inflation has undercut President Joe Biden's approval ratings as Americans feel their purchasing power dwindle and worry that higher prices might linger.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has called to expand the country's space rocket launch site, according to state media KCNA on Friday. They reported that Kim announced this during a visit to the Sohae satellite launching ground, which has been used to fire satellites that experts say use similar tech to intercontinental ballistic missiles. KCNA quoted Kim saying, "It is the noble duty to turn the launching ground associated with our state's great dream and ambition for a space power into an ultra-modern advanced base and a starting line of space conquest for the future." Friday's report comes after South Korea and the U.S. jointly declared that the North's two most recent satellite tests used a new ICBM, and further suggested Pyongyang could possibly fire a missile under the guise of launching a space vehicle. Its latest launch earlier this month was North Korea's 9th weapons test of the year. Washington described the ICBM tests as a, quote, serious escalation requiring a united global response. The missile system in question is known as the Hwasong-17 and was unveiled at an October 2020 military parade in Pyongyang. A U.S. official said tests have likely been designed to check elements of the system before a full-range firing, potentially disguised as a space launch banned by the UN Security Council. Kim has defended satellite work as protecting North Korea's sovereignty, exercising its rights to self-defense, and elevating national prestige.
The new Russia-related sanctions are wholly unrelated to the JCPOA and should not have any impact on a potential mutual return to compliance with it or its ultimate implementation. We also have no intention of offering Russia anything new or specific as it relates to these sanctions, nor is anything new required to successfully reach an agreement on a mutual return to full compliance with the JCPOA. There's very little time remaining to test the proposition as to whether we can achieve a mutual return to compliance with the JCPOA. We've urged all parties, and of course that includes the Russian Federation, to focus on resolving the final remaining issues so that we can achieve our shared objective. That is an Iran that is permanently and verifiably barred from ever obtaining a nuclear weapon.